Greetings, everyone. P. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to a very special episode of the show. We got two very special guests here promoting a very cool box set anthology that's coming out in July. We've got from planetx on the keyboards, Mr. Dereksherinian, and on the drums, Mr. Virgil Donati. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Thanks for having us on.
Happy to have you.
Yes, great to be here.
So we've got Derek's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Virgil is way over there.
Transatlantic.
That's right. That's right. So we're crossing all the time zones here today. So we've got coming up on July 21st, planetx Anthology. So basically this anthology, this box set brings together these albums for the first time ever, all in one place. I'm assuming these are all long out of print, right? Because a lot of these Inside Out, you guys were originally on Inside
Out of print over 10, 15 years. And what's been amazing is that after all this time, all these younger musicians that are in their 20s that weren't even around when we first made these records are fans of planetx, and they get little scraps on YouTube or whatever, but they've never had the opportunity to listen to the actual disc for years because it hasn't been available. Or if you look on eBay and try to buy it, like there was a copy of Universe for like $200 or something. It's ridiculous. So, Virgil and I have been talking about this for a few years, and we figured it was the perfect timing to get this music, put it all in one nice package. We had Simon Phillips remaster the record and really put some extra love into it just to make everything cohesive and fit great. And he did a fantastic job. And we're very proud of this anthology. And if you're a fan of planetx, this is definitely part of your collection. If you're a completist, you need to have this disc. There's great artwork, never before seen pictures, new liner notes from Simon and Rich Wilson from Prog Magazine. And it's just we're very happy with it.
Did you have to wait like a certain number of years? Like, were there any legal issues for you guys to put this all in one set?
No, we've always maintained ownership of our masters, and once the licensing deals expired, then Virgil and I own the masters. So then it's up to us. We put this out on our own planetx Records, which is our new label. Who knows what else we'll put out on it, but that's what this is, and so it's exciting.
Yeah, it's the way to do things now, I think. And I think the time without any of our records being available was really drawn out. But I think it's coming back at the right time for us. So I'm quite happy with the timing, and looking forward to the response, the reaction. And for me, it was also quite interesting because I hadn't listened to any of it for years and years and years, as I tend to do with most things I record. I think, okay, I'm done with that. Let's move on, But, listen to the remasters as we had to do, and I was pleasantly surprised at what I heard. It was good to hear things that surprised me because it'd been so long, between listens.
Did Simon have to do much kind of tweaking in the remastering process? I mean, these are pretty great sounding albums to begin with. I know all the versions that I have, the originals, they sound tremendous. So, like, how much did he have to do?
He produced Moon Babies and mixed it, so he already had his input there, and he mixed Live from Oz originally. I think he had to do for Universe, there had to be some extra love in because that was the first record we did on ADATs before Pro Tools. That was like in 99 or whatever. So it was a little bit thinner sounding, but there's a rawness to Universe to that record too. So he was able to capture it. And no, I think that the doctoring was minimal on his part, but he just smoothed everything out, all any rough edges. And
yeah, I think there's a much better transience. There's a really nice, airy high end that perhaps wasn't on the originals. And of course, balancing all the output, all the levels of all the various records so that they all match. So that was important.
Sometimes, like, one record will be mastered louder than another. Like Universe might be louder than Moon Babies, and it's his job to make all 4 records so everything's kind of cohesive, uniform.
You guys, obviously Virgil appeared on the 1999 planetx album from Derek, and that's kind of how that was the genesis of all this. Did you guys, when you did that album, did you envision that you would actually, right off the bat, did you think that this could be a band going forward? And
not originally. I mean, I was in awe of Virgil, obviously. Like, when you play with someone like that, it's like, well, you don't feel that or get to experience that very often. So I was just mainly focusing on, wow, this guy is so talented and so good, and he writes as well. And so I just said, let's write this album together. And even though my name was on the front of it, I view that record as a Virgil and mine's record. It's just
it was I guess you could call it the prequel.
As much Virgil.
It's amazing because the title of the record was planetx. How many people? It kind of confusing. I think that was a planetx record, but in fact it wasn't.
If I could give myself a little credit for a second, I kind of pulled a Chick Corea move, because Chick Corea, one of his solo albums was Return to Forever. And then he morphed it into a band. And I think once I got the call from Dream Theater that they were going to make a change in the keyboard department, after the quick frenzy of holy shit, it became quite obvious that my first phone call was to Virgil. I said, let's take these fuckers down. And that was the attitude. And so planetx was kind of like, the band was my fuck you Dream Theater. And that's what the starting basis of it was. It morphed into something way more than that, but that was like the initial energy, was to all right, you want to talk technical prog, let's discuss polyrhythms and harmony, and let's see who is doing more, pushing the boundaries a little more.
Well, you took it to another level. I mean, you listen. I was listening to Moon Babies early this morning, just kind of getting ready for everything today, and I was just like, and I hadn't heard it.
I got to give a lot of the credit as far as like the technical stratosphere. I mean, the guy Virgil is just, his musical mind is just beyond. And during the whole time with planetx, I was like, even with Dream Theater, I had to like get my skill set up. I wasn't used to playing all that stuff, and I had to rise up. But then playing with Virgil was like a whole different level. And so I'm trying to like be band member and partner, but at the same time, I'm trying to like hang on for my dear life to keep up with this guy.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
So this was a scary assignment for you, this whole band, right?
There was tension in that, but that tension that I was feeling, that's where the gold, that's where the magic is. And it was pushing me musically out of my comfort zone. And it's like, I listen back to those records now. Oops.
Well,
I got cut off on the, hold on.
You're still here. We see you.
You're here.
Yeah, so I mean, listening back 20 years to some of that music that we wrote, it's like, I can't even believe that we made that stuff. It's insane. And to this day, I don't think I've heard, there's some really great instrumental bands out there, like Tosa and Abasi, great guitar player, Animals with Leaders. They're doing some really cool stuff. But still, I don't see, I haven't heard anyone take it farther than planetx has. Harmonically, polyrhythmically, sonically, genre bending, how we do it. I have not heard a band surpass us.
How challenging then was it to take this stuff and get ready to go play it live? I mean, that must have been hard.
Well, it's a lot more for me than Virgil.
No, I'm challenged every time I go on stage, but great. Look, I've got to say that to Derek's credit, even though, okay, as he explained, it may have been pushing his rhythmical limits, etc. But he's got a great ear, and he pulled it off every night on stage. It's like there was never, you know, in fact, I probably made more mistakes than anyone, but that's because I like to go on stage and I don't play it safe. I don't like to play parts. I don't like to play, you know, what I've played on the record. I'm always exploring. I'm trying to find the next thing to say on the instrument. And improvisation is a big part of that. And that's just the way I've always played.
Part of the things that was difficult for me on stage was that learning how to play in 2116 odd time signature is difficult enough, like learning the parts, but then we're in 2116, but then Virgil in his explorations would go off and play over the bar line, and I'm going, wait a minute, I just figured out how to 21. Now you're
well, but then again, I mean, listen to Live from Oz. There's not much.
That's where
it's a great live record. It's pretty clean, and we probably deleted a few tracks. I don't remember that we may not have. No, it was a great. It's actually a pretty good live record.
I saw you guys live at
rediscovered recently.
Do you remember the Nearfest festival? I saw you guys. It's the only time I caught you guys live, and that was amazing.
Because we didn't have Tony, and we have the replacement players. Yeah, I don't.
Nearfest?
That was TJ and Rufus.
Yep.
Nearfest. It was like.
I thought it was really.
East Coast
I thought, I don't know why I have Dave LaRue in my head with Nearfest.
It was East Coast.
So it's near Philly. Is it in
yeah, it was in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah,
at the college. So let's talk about these albums real quick. So Universe comes out in 2000, and you know, you guys have worked with some stellar musicians on these albums. So here you've got Tony McAlpine and Tom Kennedy on this particular one. You know, Tony, great fit for the band. Dave LaRue is on the Live from Oz album. Moon Babies, we've got Tom Kennedy, Billy Sheehan, and Jimmy Johnson, along with Tony as well on guitar. And then for Quantum, you've got Brett Garsett back, who played on the planetx album, along with Alan Holdsworth, Jimmy Johnson, Rufus Philpott. I mean, you know, what was it like to work with some of these guys? I mean, some serious players here.
They are.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you know, those names, the bass players, for example, Jimmy Johnson, Tom Kennedy, Dave LaRue, Rufus Philpott played on a track. I mean, exceptional players, everyone in their own right, and they all have, you know, their own particular style. I mean, I guess out of that batch, I hate to say it, that bunch of guys, Jimmy probably played more. Oh, I forgot to mention Billy Sheehan as well. But Jimmy played most of the tracks on those records, and apart from Moon Babies, I think. But exceptional player. I mean, the sound. I was in awe when we were at the time, Simon, when we recorded Moon Babies. Simon. We did that at Simon's house. He still had his studio in his home in LA, and I was sitting in, you know, on some of the Jimmy Johnson sessions, and you know, for example, Midnight Bell, that incredible bass solo he played. It was like it was one take, I believe. I think no, he played it. He played right through. He played the track right through. Incredible solo, and then he just wanted to do another take on the solo. And they were both amazing and just straight off, no punch-ins, nothing, you know, incredible player. Yeah, and Tom Kennedy had to wrap his head around some of those things like Moon Babies, the title track, which is quite challenging, and also phenomenal job. But, he was fun to work with.
Bass players on these records were very blessed, and live too. Of the players that came out with us, Rick Fiorabracci came out live with us once.
Rick's a great player,
yeah. We had quite a few. Yeah, Rick did the Moon Babies tour.
Yeah, you look at some of the list of artists that some of these bass players have played with over the years. It's crazy, right? The pedigree there is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So what's out of these four records, or mainly the three studio albums, Derek, what's your favorite of the three?
Oh, they're all my children.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
I don't know. I mean, they each have their qualities. I think, I don't know. There's something about Universe. There's a rawness that I think is cool that I like. But then sonically, I listen to Moon Babies. I think it's superior as far as the sound quality and tones and everything. I don't know. It's hard to say. Universe or Moon Babies, I think.
Yeah. I
Virgil,
would.
what about you?
I'd probably have to pick Moon Babies. Just overall for the compositions, sonically the playing. There's a few highlights on Quantum. But overall, Moon Babies.
Yeah, it's interesting that the music of planetx, for someone who's familiar with the music, all right, so I've been listening to you guys since you first started here. There's obviously elements of fusion, jazz rock, jazz fusion. There's elements of prog rock. There's certainly progressive metal in there. It's all kind of fused together, and boom, here we've got planetx music. How do you guys describe, like, if you were to walk up to someone in the street and they say, "Oh, dereksherinian," and then you start talking and you mention, "Got this box set coming out for this band. I had planetx." Oh, really? I never heard planetx before. How would you describe the music of this band to someone who's never heard them before?
It's hard, because it covers so much ground, and you really can't put it in a box.
Well, I think I'd have to combine, you'd have to use terminology that's understood. I would say it's really a hybrid of
Metal fusion.
progressive metal fusion,
Because you have to mention metal, right? Because it's pretty heavy in spots.
Yeah,
denying the aggression there, right?
You've got the progressive element, you've got the metal element, and you've got the fusion, because we're probably a little more jazzy fusiony than most progressive rock bands, So
we can play all of these genres authentically. Like a lot of times you'll see progressive metal bands. They play fast unison linear stuff, but they can't play anything that grooves or funky or classic rock or soulful. And then you get these jazz fusion yo-cats that play the baked potato, and they play over changes great, but they wouldn't know a heavy riff if it landed on them. And there's like
well, the thing, let's give them credit though. They probably don't want to. They probably don't want to.
Want to, but you know what? If you don't have that element in your music,
so we're just filling a niche that there's a lot of young people who like that kind of thing. Young people like the heavy vibe, and part of my history is that I grew up listening to rock band as well as all the classic fusion and jazz, everything from Elvin Jones to Billy Cobham to John Bonham, so that comes out in the music, doesn't it? In the way I play, the way I write as well. So
one thing though that separates us also from a lot of these fusion bands, there's a rock and roll fire and attitude to our sound, and a lot of that is from Virgil and I both loved rock bands. We listened to Van Halen and AC/DC and Zeppelin and those bands as well, where that's an important part of the sound. The heaviness has got to be in there with the technical and the rich harmonies, and it's all part of it. And I think we're hitting on all pistons on our engine when it comes to that. The heaviness is there, the soul is there, the signature styles in Virgil's and mine, the way we play our instruments, you can tell it's Virgil in 2 seconds when you hear it. Or if you hear a keyboard solo, it's me. And so, all of those things put into the stew, you have a pretty unique sound.
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to enough of the planetx music, Derek, you've got all this whole line of really great solo albums too. And Virgil, you got all sorts of old, very cool stuff as well. You know, you listen to planetx and you can hear like the intensity of like a Mahavishnu orchestra. You can hear the kind of the groove and the kind of little funky jazziness of like Jeff Beck's 70s fusion albums, right? You can hear the kind of the interplay between the members that Rick Chick Corea used to do in not only Return to Forever, but the Electric Band as well. You mentioned like Van Halen, right? So you can hear like some of Tony's soloing, you know, you hear this kind of like acrobaticness of like Eddie Van Halen and an Yngwie and that type of thing. So it's like this kind of weird mix of all sorts of things, but it sounds in the end so identifiable and so planetx, right? Because there's really no other band that sounds like you guys.
True.
Which is good.
No, I think they're all avoiding it.
Probably right, because they like, we can't do that, right? We're not even going to try.
That's not what I meant, really, but okay, whatever you.
So how hard? So when you guys are writing this type of material, how hard is it to create music that's this complex? To try and strike a balance between, okay, so we want to make the songs memorable, right? You have to allow the naked ear to be able to hear something that's pleasing to the ear, but allow plenty of room for all these crazy exchanges and the shredding, because that's what people want to hear, right? So how hard?
Well, I challenge you to sing back one planetx song. Let's see how memorable it is.
But you know what I mean? It has to be pleasing to the ear, because I listen to, trust me, I listen to so many bands and so many albums, and there's lots of instrumental bands that come out with stuff. And you kind of hinted at it before, Derek. It's like where it's like, wow, the playing is great, but man, I couldn't tell you what any of that song was about other than just waiting for the solos, right? And you don't want to just wait for solos in songs. You want the rest of the song to be constructed in a way that you want to re-listen to it over and over again. And I find that your material, there is that desire to keep wanting to listen to it. There's enough to grab you there, and then we're going to wow you with the playing and the arrangements. I mean, that can't be easy to do.
Well, pleasing to the ear is subjective. And so the main thing is it has to be pleasing to mine and Virgil's ears first. And
Right.
if that is achieved, then if everyone else is pleased by it, then that's a bonus.
Yeah, I think really as an artist, you've just got to be honest with yourself. I mean, the great thing about producing your own music is that you don't have to have anyone looking over your shoulder like a record company executive, or you've heard all those stories about particularly, of course, in the pop rock world, historically record company execs walking in the studio and almost breaking bands up because they wanted things. No, that's not what we are. We just write what comes out naturally. The way I write what I hear. That's all I can do. I can't. I don't want to manufacture a song. What I hear is this blend of interesting harmony with rhythm, hopefully the grooves in some way, and just be honest in what and the way I hear things is the accumulation of everything I've ever worked on in my life. So hopefully that's how you get where, that's how you get there, by constantly allowing yourself to evolve as a musician, which eventually comes out in your music. So that's how you do it. It's not just sitting down and hitting a few MIDI notes on the keyboard and programming a few things and hoping for the best, and then letting it evolve and saying, oh, let me put in, oh, this needs this section and this needs that. No, it's a flow, a creative flow that you sit down and write, and you will let your emotions and your feelings take you on a journey until you feel you have a piece of music.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with the legend that was Alan Holdsworth?
Oh, well, for me, it was probably the most important musical moment in my life, or period, I should say. Well, we first worked together on the Quantum record. He played a couple of tracks there, which was just I still get, I still get goosebumps when I listen to the solo on Desert Girl. It's just amazing. It's beautiful. And then, of course, I worked with him in his band 6 years later for, 4 or 5 years. And that was just such a special time. He's a remarkable man, remarkable man as well as a genius on guitar. And it was great to be able to befriend him and understand him a little more and talk to him about how he thinks and how he became what he is, how he became Alan Holdsworth. And I was
very proud of you.
Sorry?
I was very proud of you when you got that gig. That was fucking awesome. Right? You got
Yeah. Oh, thanks, mate. I was for me, it was when I remember driving down Santa Monica Boulevard, and I see Alan Holdsworth come up on my phone. I thought, oh, I should pick this up. He's driving, pulling up into a car park, and Alan, this was quite a few years after we did that record with planetx, and he's, and that's when he asked me, would I like to work with an old geezer? He's very, maybe not everyone knows, but he was very self-deprecating, and then even on that call, when he asked me to, no, in fact, sorry, that was to ask me to play on his new record, and then from that it led on to the touring, and unfortunately the record, I still have it all in my files here. It was all the bass and drums were completed, and he never got to finish the guitar. But we're thinking about doing something posthumously, getting some guest players on it. But his guide guitar tracks are there, and it's just amazing music. It's amazing music. It really is, and it really has to be released for people to hear.
You own it?
Sorry?
Own the master?
No. His daughters have it. And we've been talking. They're going to get it to me sooner or later. They're a bit. They take their time, but hopefully Jimmy and I can liaise and get the special guest soloists on it.
That would be great. Yeah. I always got the impression that, and again, I only met Alan once, but I always got the impression that he was very conservative about his talents and what he brought to the music world, whereas we all kind of looked at him as this otherworldly guy, right, who did this amazing stuff. And, the people who appreciated his music and would even bother to listen to it, but he kind of never saw that himself. And it's just a kind of shame that his genius.
I'll tell a quick story. So originally, when Tony left the band, I think like 2005 or something, he wanted to go off and do his own thing at school. So we had to figure out, to replace Tony and make a record. So we contacted Alan, because Alan had played on my Mythology record, and I developed a friendship with him. So we called him, and I said, "Look, how we get Holdsworth? Great, that's a dream come true." So the original plan was to have Alan play on all of Quantum, but a lot of time elapsed, and finally we get a call I get a message from Alan saying, "I have 6 songs recorded, or 5 songs recorded already so far." And we're, great, we're waiting to hear. And then a bunch of time went by, like a month. I called the mutual friend. They said Alan recorded the stuff, but he went to the pub and came back and listened back to everything, and he hated everything he played, and he erased it. And like me and Virgil are thinking, oh my fucking God, dude. First of all, anything that you put down must be great. Let alone, how can you throw it away? And so finally, we ended up getting 2 tracks out of him, and we called Brett Garcett, who's an amazing player and played on the first planetx solo record.
Yeah.
And he did an incredible job between the two of them. But the original
But Alan, but Alan was renowned for doing that. You know, he was renowned for recording. And then I had a chat to him. Of course, when I was touring with him, we talked about that. I said, Alan, what happened to that? What happened to those tracks? And he explained to me wasn't the only time he'd done it, but he didn't want to allow himself second chance. If he decided in his own mind, if he'd recorded any track all day and then in the evening listened to it and he disliked something about it, he didn't want the option of getting up in the morning and having another listen with fresh ears. He would just erase it so he didn't have that.
No.
He said, if I feel like that about now, that's good enough for me. Bye. And he'd erase. You know, so that's what he did with the 6 planetx tracks. And then he started again with Desert Girl and Thinking Stone. He only literally played that drum and guitar solo because I don't think he even finished that. So that's all we got. But as Derek said, you know, Brett did a great job.
Cortex of all the tracks that Alan never turned in that he erased after the Nights at the Pub. That'd be amazing to hear all of the music that.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Oh boy, he's much missed. He's much.
Very much, very much.
So here's the $1 million question. So it's been 16 years since Quantum. What kind of happened after this, and will your schedules ever align, and will you guys ever want to do another planetx album?
Yeah, I would love to. Like, I mean, as you said, you know, Virgil and I were both busy with like lots of different stuff. If it was the right circumstance and the right group of players, then I'm totally in. I would love to do it.
Let's just say it's a possibility without making any promises, but who knows? Let's just get this music back out there, and then
this will set the groundwork, and we'll see what the vibe is. And you know, I'm always into playing with Virgil, you know, for whatever it is. So if it makes sense, we're in.
But planetx has got to be you two guys, right? So this may not even include Tony or anybody else that you worked with before. As long as it's got you guys, it's planetx.
That's right.
Cool. All right, so kind of to close everything up here. So Anthology is coming out in just under 2 months, right? It'll be available pretty much everywhere. You've got pre-orders. I see pre-orders going on like in numerous places, so people can actually go pre-order this right now. Booklet, from what I'm hearing, looks like it's going to be pretty jam-packed with information and photos and stuff like that, which is always a good. People love box sets, right? So I'm sure it's going to be any extra tracks, bonus tracks, or anything like that, or just strictly the albums as they were.
The albums.
Okay. Cool. So everybody, for those of you watching who maybe you have one of these or none of these or a couple of these, and you've been wanting to get a planetx album, or all of them actually, all in one place for a good price, that is coming up July 21st. Anthology, all the albums, all 4, the 3 studio albums and the 1 live album, all in one place on planetx Records, I believe it's going to be called. Awesome. Perfect name for it, right? So we're really looking forward to it. And any closing statements from you guys that you want to say to the Sea of Tranquility faithful about this anthology and why they should get it? And hopefully that'll lead to something else from you guys.
If you're progressive metal, into progressive metal or instrumental music or fusion, this is a must-have record to complete your collection. And we put there's a lot of notes in this box set and a lot of
too many notes.
Well, let's say we're just meticulous and thorough in detail.
No, this is a must-have if you're a fan of this style of music, to have a complete collection.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you guys as a way to get everybody primed for the box set coming out. I am going to do on the channel between now and then, probably with George Lemie and Eric Porter, we are going to rank the albums of planetx to get everybody primed and ready for the box set somewhere between now and then. And once people watch that show and hear how great these albums are, they're going to be ordering that box set just like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That'll be
Have
coming
a-
up. So stay tuned for that real soon. So, and again, we'll put some links down below in the comments section in the video description of where you can go pre-order this box set. So you can go out and do that immediately. Make sure you, is there going to be limited numbers of these box sets, guys, or should people not worry?
Just keep ordering. We'll keep printing them as the demand.
Okay.
First batch is 1,000.
Limited to 2 each.
What?
I said limited to 2 each.
2 each.
2 each. You can only buy 2.
You can only buy 2.
Anyone-
So one for yourself and one for your loved one, right? So there
That's
you
it.
So very cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. I want to thank both Virgil and Derek for spending some time with us here this morning, and get ready for the Anthology of the Year. It's coming out, planetx, July 21st. Links are below. We'll see you real soon here on the Sea of Tranquility. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. For Virgil
you, guys.
and Derek Sherinian, I'm Pete Pardo. Take care, everybody.
Peace. Bye-bye.